Welcome back to Just Chattin', and this is the series of videos we do on Thursday and Sunday evenings just for our own entertainment. So, if you hear a strange little noise in the background, which I have been hearing on and off for the last 5 minutes, that is Audie. He is either trying to sneeze or trying to yak up a hairball. In either case, I pay attention. If he's sneezing, then it might mean he's not feeling well. And if he's trying to yak up a hairball, I would like to know that now and not find out about it at 2 in the morning when I'm wandering around in my bare feet. Now, just saying, Audie, do me a solid. Do not catch me in the middle of the night like this. Audie is with us. He may end up showing up. I don't know. Strange little cat, but it has gotten dark and overcast and looks like it may start to rain at any minute. So if that happens, he probably will show up because he'll want to complain to me about the weather. All right, enough about Audie. I've got a lot of little stories and then sort of more of an evaluation of what Nutmeg's been up to lately. So, we'll be back. So the first of our odd little miscellaneous stories that have come out. Celebrity chef Jameson Stocks, and frankly, I had never heard of him, but I tend not to watch cooking shows these days, claims that he had been approached by Netflix when they were putting together the With Love Meghan series that just came out. And we can expect the second half of that first season. Remember, 1 season, not 2. We can expect the second half to be aired shortly. That he had been approached as a consultant and possibly even a celebrity chef guest. I was not very clear about the exact conversations he had with Netflix because this has been reported in other periodicals, so it's secondhand information to begin with. He declined, and then I don't want to say reviewed the show, because I think that elevates the comments he made to a whole new level, but he happened to express his opinion on the show, and his opinion was that Nutmeg cannot cook, that this is ridiculous for this woman to be hosting a cooking show when clearly this is not her skill set. Now, I think anyone who watched the show is extremely clear about the fact that Nutmeg can't cook, that nothing that took place in this rented kitchen that wasn't even hers was anything you would consider to be at the level of a televised cooking show. This was just Nutmeg schlepping around somebody else's kitchen with people she claimed were her friends, but in one case she didn't even know her dear lifelong friend was left-handed. And of course, her other dear lifelong friend, Mindy Kaling, didn't know her name, so yeah, it's like a mess from start to finish. But it was allegedly just Nutmeg horsing around somebody else's kitchen with her bosom buddies. And it's okay if we get it wrong, we're just having fun. Well, since when has that been the basis of a cooking show? Ordinarily, you expect somebody's going to know how to cook. Never mind. Anyway, Jameson Stocks gave his opinion rather publicly. I do not know to whom he expressed that opinion. No idea, because I'm getting this from the publication that released the story, and I wasn't interviewing him, so I didn't get a chance to ask my own questions. But he then received, according to him, what basically amounts to a cease and desist letter from Netflix. Now, Netflix has denied sending any such letter. And, and by the way, I'm the one calling it a cease and desist, because that seemed to be what he was describing when he talked about the letter. So Netflix denies it, but I'm not sure that really means anything, because Netflix themselves wouldn't have sent the letter. It probably would have been their counsel. And perhaps in that case, technically they're being honest. No, we never sent the letter. Our lawyers did. But this is the allegation, that Netflix is reaching out to attempt to silence a celebrity chef for criticizing nutmeg. And of course, in fairness, I need to be able to throw out to you that Netflix has denied this. So take that and do what you wish with it. I can tell you right now that I don't think nutmeg knows how to cook either, and nobody from Netflix is sending me cease and desist letters. At least not yet, anyway. We have another just sort of odd little piece, and this came from Business Insider. And of course, as always, the sources I cite are in the video notes. All the articles are linked. Just so you know, I'm not just making this stuff up. I'll leave that to Nutmeg. Business Insider, for some strange reason, decided to recap Nutmeg's work history. And that's something I'm very familiar with. So I'm in a very good position to call out Business Insider, because I have, in fact, created lists of every show she was on up till she retired from Suits, when she decided that she was going to engage in the acting role of a lifetime and pretend to be interested in an idiot sock puppet. But they went through things like that alleged job she had at age 13 at the yogurt parlor. And we talked about this many times because that just gets to me. Business Insider, by the way, is an American publication. I just need to throw that out. So they know better than anyone. Remember, this is a business publication. They know better than anyone, I would think, that a 13-year-old child cannot work for pay in a food service establishment. Now, there are some areas in which a 13-year-old child can work. Entertainment's the one that comes to mind, modeling, things like that. Children can work underage in those fields. But food service, no. I shouldn't have to explain this to anyone, because we're all clever enough to see that food service very often involves things like slicing machines and pots of hot coffee. They are inherently dangerous, and minor children are not legally allowed to be employed in this industry. And there's no workaround for this. It's not like, oh, well, if you're 15 and a half, you can get working papers. No, we're talking about her being 13. Too young, illegal. And they cite the statement allegedly made by someone who did work at that ice cream parlor, frozen yogurt parlor. And this would have been in response to the assertion Nutmeg first made in, I think, 2020 or 2021, that she had held this job at age 13. Now, all you have to do is count backwards, and you realize that's going back 25 years. And somebody apparently, allegedly recalled a 13-year-old Nutmeg working for them. Wow. And, of course, anybody who is saying they employed a 13-year-old child should have their business shut down. So I look at that. That's really, really suspicious going in. But at this point, my thought was, why are respectable publications regurgitating Nutmeg's highly fanciful story of her own life and upbringing. Her father has stated categorically she had no such job. It never happened. We know from Nutmeg's own previous statements about how she left school in a limousine and went to the set of Married with Children, where her father was the lighting director, or perhaps General Hospital, where her father had also been the lighting director, and that's where she spent her afternoons, and that story flooded the media. In part, at least, it is on the Craig Ferguson interview, and I'll put a link to that so you can see for yourself. That is not the after-school experience she was spreading when she was on Suits. Oh no, this is new. This was part of her 2020's remake when she decided she wanted to be just plain folks and have an after-school job like every other kid in the country. But they're throwing it out as if it actually happened, as if this is a fact. They also spoke about her extensive career as a calligrapher, and that was something I did research on. See, you can't do research on a job that she never had at a frozen yogurt parlor because you come up with nothing. No job never took place. All you can come up with is a lack of evidence. The calligraphy, yeah, there's some real evidence there. And it looks like what she actually did was work for some sort of company that I'm going to characterize as an event planning company. And what she did was not create wedding invitations, because let me just give you an example of a handwritten calligraphic wedding invitation. This is the caliber of work we are talking about. I had a friend in college who did this kind of calligraphy. Now, I was in Washington, D.C. at the time, where this sort of calligraphy was very much sought after for embassy affairs and things like that. This is not the way most people do their wedding invitations. Frankly, it's on a whole new level. That is legitimate calligraphy. What Nutmeg did was, as far as I can tell, address the envelopes for invitations for what I believe was 2 or 3 weddings. A very, very part-time job, because for the most part, Nutmeg was supported first by her father and then by Trevor, and eventually by her own income on Suits. She did not have a need to go out and keep much in the way of part-time jobs, and it's very clear from her own statements about her own work history that these little part-time jobs were just little fill-ins for pin money, basically. So I am getting very frustrated with the mainstream media continuing to regurgitate this highly curated Nutmeg life story without ever fact-checking, without ever doing anything, even the most basic steps to verify any of this actually took place. They just spit it back on us as if, yeah, this is the truth. And the problem I have with this is the more often these things are said in public, the more often we read them in the press, the more likely it is to eventually become taken as fact. And Nutmeg knows this. So yeah, I'm getting tired of that. But from there, we go on to the most recent episode of Nutmeg's Female Founders podcast that she is doing for Lemonada. And this time, her guest was Hannah Mendoza. And Hannah Mendoza is the founder of a company called Clever Brands. And this is one of those companies that makes mushroom-based coffee products. Good Lord, is that really a thing? Because as a coffee drinker, that does frighten me. No, I'd just as soon not have mushrooms in my coffee, but thank you for asking. Now, we know, because of course, Nutmeg expounded at great lengths when she did invest in this company back in 2020, 2021, somewhere in there. We know that Nutmeg has a financial finger in Hannah Mendoza's pie, which certainly explains two things. One, why Mendoza would appear on this podcast, which is just, it kills your brain cells to watch it. It really does. You watch an episode of this and you lose at least 3 or 4 IQ points. I guess it's a good thing the sock puppet isn't watching it all, because he doesn't have any to spare. But for most of us, yeah, we just go away feeling like we had electroshock therapy. So that explains why Mendoza would be on. It also explains why Nutmeg wants Mendoza on, because she has a financial investment in Mendoza's company. So it's like we're seeing each of them with a dog in the fight, so to speak. And this one did not have any of the bizarre and highly fanciful disclosures we've heard before, about Nutmeg and how sick she was when she was pregnant, or any of the other nonsense that she spits out, these revelations that she comes with on the fly because she can't bear to have anyone outdo her. But here's the thing. After having watched a few of these, plus I think it was, Lord, half a dozen of the With Love Meghan. Yes, I still have headaches from that one. It's become formulaic. And people are saying these podcasts, these shows that are allegedly just spontaneous, we've just got a camera going, do your own thing, are scripted. That is the allegation coming out. That is what people are saying. And the fact is, yeah, I am starting to believe this, because what I do is I will binge watch this stuff. I will grab half a dozen episodes, download them all at once, and watch them one after another after another. That enables you to see patterns. That enables you to see similarities from one show to the next. Things just jump out at you when you are binge watching something that you might not have seen if you watched this, Monday night, waited a week, watched the next one, the following Monday night. No, you binge watch them, you see the patterns very quickly, very easily. And here's the pattern. Nutmeg has a celebrity guest, and she has a very loose definition of celebrity, because most of them are not celebrities. Most of these people are not founders of Fortune 500 companies, just as her guests on With Love Meghan were not Hollywood A-listers. They were just people that were there, and these people coo and fuss over Meghan. Oh, how wonderful you are, Nutmeg. Oh, it's such a great joy to be here, and we've been friends forever. You're my favorite person. You're so kind and wonderful. And that goes on until you just can't take it anymore. Actually, it goes on beyond that point. And then there is a little, I guess one would say, semi-scripted banter. And Nutmeg eventually pulls out a zinger out of left field, because she's making it up on the spot, to talk about something wonderful about herself, which is all she ever does. And at the end of the episode, it's like at the end of With Love Meghan, every episode you walk away saying, well, I didn't learn anything interesting here. I did not come up with a new recipe. I do not know a new way to broil a chicken or whatever. Same with this. I did not get any insight into founding a business. I did not get any insight into what might make a female founder any different from any other woman I might see on the street, because there's no real focus to these shows. All it is about is Nutmeg's ego trip, and people are starting to call her on that, and I think that is absolutely wonderful. So that's where I'm going to leave that topic, and I do want to mention that we got a couple of new photographs of the putative children. And we got this one, which the press was saying was Nutmeg's solidarity with her husband in the face of his defeat at the hands of the UK courts. So, yes, I want to express sympathies, so I post a photo to Instagram. I don't know, I'm just telling you what the headlines say. That one is basically, it's a repeat of photos we've seen again and again and again, the backs of the children. But this other one, and this was the photo for the putative child Archie's alleged 6th birthday, has been totally dissected online by people who know what they're talking about. I personally listened to the Royal Grift's analysis of this, and the reason why, for those of you who don't know this, her profession is as a graphic artist. So this is her wheelhouse. This is something she could probably do in her sleep, not just tear a photo like this apart, which I bet she could create her own photos like this, again, in her sleep. It's what she does. So when she says, look at this, and for me, the telling bit of evidence she presented, by the way, I'll put a link to her video because you should watch it. The telling piece of evidence was the thin little white line around the child. So, yeah, fake photos, but because I don't want to leave you on more fake photos, because Lord knows I've been showing you fake photos for the past week or so, let me just share this one with you, because the putative child Archie is not the only one who allegedly had a birthday, and Charlotte had a birthday. So let's just go out on a lovely picture of Princess Charlotte that is clearly not photoshopped. Okay, so that's what I have for you today. We are going to take a look at a slideshow on the way out. I hope to see you all next time, and in the meanwhile, have a terrific day.